Neuroscience says that when you obsess over something, your cortisol rises and then you're not able to think clearly. That means you can be caused to miss out on opportunities for what you want that are right in front of you. The more you want, try, obsess, the harder you make it to have what you want. Why once we let go, a lot of times things show up. So I want to go over practical tips of how to let go and detach, whether it is relationships, a home, any of the things you may want. We're going to go over that in this video. So if you have someone that you're stuck on, whether it's a friend or someone you're seeing, it very little has to do with them and it more has to do with you. So certain people are a reflection of a pattern in your life. And when you bring that to your awareness, then you realize it really wasn't about them. When you heal it, it usually is not something that you really want in your life anymore. Or they are symbolic of a story that you're telling yourself, like a belief that you keep saying, and they almost show up to get you to learn what needs to shift and what you're not tolerating anymore, or telling yourself a new story. So there usually is that like intense, like obsession or being stuck on something because it has to do with something within you and not them. So the people that you're holding on to, what are they making you feel? How can you start giving that to yourself? They're unintegrated parts of you, and they'll reflect what you need to heal. I always joke that like someone ghosting you is like honestly the best thing. I mean, it's not usually feeling like that when you're in it, but a lot of times they don't give you answers, so it almost has you be like, you start telling yourself stories, which is really ultimately what you believe about yourself, right? Because if you have no real answer of why someone ghosted you, start paying attention to what reasons you're telling yourself that they are, and that'll show you the beliefs that you have that you need to rewire. When it comes to people, what type of role do they hold in your life? Like, are they charismatic? Do you admire something in them that you know you have in yourself? Or is it a belief that you keep telling yourself that has to do with them? And actually, the way that I best kind of took a look at this was there was a few people in my life when I look back and took inventory that I still felt kind of caught up on. And so I wrote them down and I wrote like what was the similarities? What was the story that I was telling myself about them? Or maybe what are things that they hold that I like want? And once I really looked at that across the board, it got me more specific on what those things were. And now that I've started either implementing them or realizing, yes, this is a pattern I don't want in my life anymore, I don't feel so caught up and attached to them. As far as everything else in life, I want to tell this story. There is a Taoist story of an old farmer who worked his crops for many years. And one day his horse ran away, and upon hearing the news, his neighbors came to visit and said, "Such bad luck." "Maybe," the farmer replied. The next morning the horse returned, bringing with it 3 other wild horses. "How wonderful!" the neighbors exclaimed. "Maybe," replied the old man. The following day his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses and was thrown and broke his legs. The neighbor again came to offer their sympathy for what they called his misfortune. "Maybe," answered the farmer. The day after, military officials came to the village to draft the young men into the army. Seeing that his son's leg was broken, they passed him by. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on how well things turned out. "Maybe," said the farmer. "No event in and of itself can truly be judged as good or bad, lucky or unlucky, fortunate or unfortunate. only time can tell a whole story. So if you're going through something and, let's say you're trying to buy a house and it fell through. Let's say you thought you met the partner of your life and it fell through. What, in what ways can you look at this and see maybe room for how it could have been better for you, how it can end up better for you? Because we can't always see things when they're happening, and a lot of times, if you look back, things in hindsight make so much more sense. And that story is a perfect example of we don't really know a full story until it's over. And things can always turn out, and almost always do turn out better than what you're afraid of letting go of. So the last part of this video, I really want to get into like practical tips. I always like to put all my information in one place. And so let's go through them. The first thing is a mindset shift. You don't need that thing. And what I want you to do is sit and I want you to take notes of why that thing needs you. Maybe it's a job opportunity. Again, like this can go in any area of your life. Taking away like you needing it and taking it off the pedestal and really realizing like this thing needs you. Shifting your mindset. This thing needs you. You have a lot to offer. So that's one tip. Tip two is to have fun. Step away, raise your energy. Fun is so magnetic and it gets your mind off the very thing that you are caught on. A watched pot never boils. Another way to take it off the pedestal is find another really good option to focus on. If you're focusing on another really good option, if it's not what you want, you know damn well it's always going to be better. There's also a book that I never got to really fully reading, but it's by Dr. David Hawkins, and he has kind of a little process in there about letting go. We have been trained to do everything but let go. We either repress things unconsciously without knowing. We suppress where things we realize, but we just keep them inside of us consciously. Express, which may be short-term relief. We might, never completely process and release the emotion, which could be like anger, outrage. It's a cycle to someone else, but in the end, it comes back to you because you have not fully felt this feeling. Escaping, which could be addiction, just to not face whatever it is. Face the feeling. Facing the feeling is essentially what you need to do. I think they said something like, if you feel something for 90 seconds, it literally will dissipate. So if you just let yourself have that feeling without resisting, drop the judgment and see that it's literally just a feeling, it's not who you are, and surrender to it. Even if you feel a little bit of it, it might shift to a new emotion. Like anger might shift to like grief or whatever. Let each thing play its role, each emotion, and let it go as you feel it. The only way out is through, and resistance literally keeps things going. It will disappear, and so will these patterns, these people, this attachment. It will disappear once the energy behind it dissipates. And it's not an easy thing to do, but it's a simple thing to do. And then kind of how I talked about before, like what is this symbolic of in your life? Like what is this person or thing going to signify for you? Like do you think it's going to bring you joy? Start here and think of someone you can't let go of or stop obsessing over. I'm sure as soon as I say that you have someone that you think about. What is it really? Get to the root of it. Ask yourself these uncomfortable questions. Maybe having them in your life means that you feel wanted. Maybe you feel pretty. Maybe you feel important because you have connections to this person. It's not so much about them, it's about you and the feeling that it evokes within you. To let go of what we think is for us, because oftentimes it ends up much better if it's not that thing. these are really practical tips that have recently helped me in letting go of certain things that I'm working on in my life, and I have no doubt that they could help somebody. So let go so you can attract what's really meant for you. Things can be so much easier than we let them be. And a lot of times, all the things in my life that I've tried to force, I ended up resentful later on because I had to do that very thing, which the truth is, I really never had to do that thing. You just have to know that we shouldn't be putting so much effort in maintaining certain things as much as we should putting that effort into ourselves to shift the reality, because everything starts there. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe, and it's time to let go. There is some amazing things waiting for you.